negative to the BMW. We're hearing that the BMW will stop again in 12 laps time, and the Toyota goes across the line. Let's see what the gap, 1 minute 39. Of course, that will change when they come around next time. And with the BMW having stopped in the pit lane, it's going to be a lot closer. Last lap, 3 minutes 37.7 from Ukio Katayama. And again, just using those curves a little bit, banging it around a touch. Andy, it's fairly clear just watching these pictures that Ukio Katayama is on a charge.
Well, he's on a charge, and I think he won't do any more damage to that car by bouncing over curves. If it hasn't broken now, it's not going to break, and in any case, it's his only chance. He's obviously doing a really good job. He's just catching the BMW, but he's just a bit too far away, it seems, to do it before the end of the race.
It does seem as though it's just that little bit too far, but if they can keep the pressure on the BMW, you never know. You might get some sort of little mechanical problem that would be just enough.
Well, of course, and when you're tired at this end of the race, it would only take one small mistake, overtaking some slower traffic, and bang, you've got a different result.
Yeah, absolutely. It can happen so easily out there. How did you feel that the general standard of driving rated this year? I mean, in various years it does vary depending on the drivers. Oh, that was all a little bit tight, wasn't it?
This time I definitely know that's Thomas Boucher. I was actually wrong earlier on when I said he's driving the car. He's in the car now, and in a situation...
dear, oh dear, what is he doing?
I don't know whether being a BMW, it almost looks like a team order. Of course, that's not the situation, but that's a frightening situation. And I mean, you can't have more than all your headlights on and have a bright red car with a yellow stripe, a white stripe on it to try and get past. But dear, oh dear, I mean, that could have just put Ukio straight out on the spot.
Yeah, and I hope Katayama will have got very fired up about that. Very easy then, of course, Andy. You know, you get into a situation where you really get the blood boiling, and it's so easy then. Oh, look at that. He was right down the inside. That was so lucky that they avoided hitting each other.
Thomas was absolutely just not looking there.
No, because at first it looked like maybe he'd got bored with waiting, but then when he came out, and he still obviously hadn't seen him coming out down the track, down the other side, extraordinary stuff. Look, this sort of almost like weaving, like he's trying to hold on to his, his pole, his first position. Extraordinary stuff.
It is, yeah. And the 98 BMW is obviously very quick down the straight.
Yes.
The Toyota just has to force his way past under braking. A very difficult situation.
Yeah, and that's it comes just after you were saying, Andy, what happens when you're overtaking backmarkers, how things can change. You know, that was a graphic demonstration of it.
Yeah, well, it was, and actually, going back to your earlier question, what has the standard of driving...
Oh no, he lost the wheel! The tyre's blown on the Toyota. It's all over now for the Toyota Challenge here at Le Mans. The two cars gone already. The third car now in trouble. They might be able to get it to limp back to the pits. The TV crew's being pushed out of the way in the Toyota pit, but it's disaster for Ukio Katayama. The left rear has exploded. The onboard camera shows Ukio in the car, and he's now got to try and limp all the way back to the pits, and BMW are now looking so much more secure. They will immediately back off the pace. They've just had their pit stop, of course, and back out on the circuit, but BMW will now be radioing to Pierluigi Martini, okay, back it off a bit. Toyota are in trouble, and that left rear exploding.
Just explodes. It's a remarkable photograph, or shot, should I say, of that, and obviously damaged, bits of bodywork all coming off. And
what a wonderful bit of car control, though.
I agree. I mean, remarkable. I mean, you would have thought he was so fired up, no doubt, after that incident with Thomas before. But I mean, incredible stuff.
Well, they're travelling at over 200 miles an hour at that point on the track.
Yeah.
Now, any ideas of what might have caused that? Could that have been caused by running over the curbs just before that when he was with Boucher? I don't think he ran that particular tyre over the curbs, did he, in that incident?
I think it's more likely to be some debris on the track than going over the curbs. I don't think the curbs really harm the tyres.
It's a great shame, because obviously after what happened to a Toyota last year as well, one that has to have sympathy, but extraordinary the way suddenly, this is what Le Mans happens, suddenly we had all that excitement with the rear, the back marker, and then suddenly the tyre lets go. I feel very sorry for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully he'll get the car back and they'll get the car to the finish, but obviously a lot of damage. I'm sure there's going to be great chunks of aerodynamic parts all knocked off the car.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful that he doesn't get over hot on the way in and try to get there too fast and then break the suspension.
Yes, that's right, absolutely. Well, we saw Martin Brundle trying to get that car back last night, and just was forced. He just couldn't get it any further, could he? He was scraped the whole bottom of the car virtually in his attempts to get it back to the pits. Not quite as bad here for Ukio Katayama, but still not good news. Now, he has made it back to pit lane. They are ready for him, and let's just hope there's not too much damage to the rear bodywork and rear suspension Looks as though the tyre has stayed intact, which is good news. It hasn't flailed around too much, has it?
No, it looks like it stayed on the rim pretty well. I still can't believe how he held that. That was a beautiful piece of driving.
Remarkable, I agree, because, you know, the car was, when the car goes light like that at that speed and sideways, and I mean, he really didn't hardly move that much, considering.
No, it was over the brow of the hill too.
Yes.
A very good piece of driving.
So Katayama brings it back, and Toyota, their dreams have turned into pretty much disaster. This car's still running, but it looks as though prospects for the win now depend purely on BMW running into trouble. I don't think this will allow Audi the chance to move up into second, because there were some 5 laps behind the lead battle before this incident. So if they can get the Toyota back together, get a rear tyre on it, they're refueling it first of all. It is about time for the final stop, but it's a little early if anything, so they're going to be a bit marginal to make it through on fuel. Now, let's just see what happens here. Are they going to be able to get the car out quickly? How much damage has been done to that rear suspension? That's the big question, but that tyre is still intact. That's so important.
Well, also, it depends whether there's anything sort of delicate that may have been hit with the tyre as it thrashed round. I mean, obviously, you can see the bodywork damage, but hopefully there's nothing else that will have been damaged more serious that will actually stop the car being able to run.
Let's see what they decide to do. I wonder if they're going to change the whole rear bodywork. They've got a huge amount of spares down there. It doesn't look like they are. The rear wheel, they're beginning to put the rear wheel on, but discussion's still going on as to whether they need to do some more work. And interesting to see Andre de Courtin's right involved in there, taking a good close look at everything that's going on.
I suppose one of the things you've got to be careful of is that the bodywork damage doesn't allow the air to get under the tail and then rip the tail off on the straight.
Absolutely, yes. Good point, Andy. The air pressure on these cars when they're travelling at over 200 miles an hour is so immense that anything can happen. A little bit of race tape is not going to do an awful lot in that way.
Looks like they're going to change the tail for safety.
Yes, I think that's obviously a good move. I think that relates, mind you, on saying that, let's just put it down, but it would seem surprising that they wouldn't change it, having actually taken it off. I mean, they must be running out with another one. Looks like there may be some suspension damage or something as well.
Certainly having a good look around, but what a tragedy this is. He really was driving well. This is the save once again.
Wow.
I mean,
what sort of speed would he have been doing at that point?
Actually, that is, it should be just in excess of 200, I would say, just there.
I mean, it's a sort of a Nigel Mansell come situation, but far less drama. But my goodness me, that will look.
Oh wow.
That's of course. Look at that. Look at the opposite lock being applied on board. What amazing pictures. That was the area of track, of course, that Peter Dambreck had his accident last night, wasn't it? So. You know, it is one of the fastest sections, as you said, and it's also over that crest, isn't it? So the car is very light there anyway.
It's light and it's actually steering itself. So on top of it steering itself, the tyre would have been steering it too. So there were 3 people trying to steer that same car.
Absolutely. Well, apparently they're trying to tie the brake ducts out of the way at the moment. That may well have got damaged. That's the first thing that's really going to get hit by the punctured tyre. Ukio looks remarkably calm at the moment in there, considering what's just happened. His hopes of winning this event have just gone down the pan, and BMW are now just cruising around. The last lap that BMW did was pretty controlled, I have to say, a 3:47. They've really backed off the pace in the lead car, and Toyota now just watching the laps count by to see whether Audi are going to gain some more ground on them here. The Audi running in 3rd place, the number 8 car, as the minutes tick away, with repairs being made to the back of the Toyota. There is our lead car, though, the number 15 BMW, and now the pressure is off. Now it's back to conserving the car and just driving as smoothly as possible.
Yes, completely backing off, as you say. They were obviously having to up the rate considerably to fight off the Toyota Challenge, which has now exploded, and so they will just nurse that car to obviously make sure that they don't have any problems. There's nothing to say that they won't have a similar problem. Obviously, we've seen the other car having a sticking throttle. Anything can happen, and also when a car's had another problem, bits of debris out there, that much easier, that much more likely that somebody else could easily pick up another puncture.
That is always the case. Andy, this time driving on the track, presumably you do find all sorts of bits and pieces and rubbish out there from various cars that have dropped pieces or damaged pieces.
Well, that's right, and you've got to keep your eyes peeled, but you do see the debris, if you see it at all, at the very last moment, so it's very hard to miss it quite often.
When you're doing 200 miles an hour, I think it's a bit
car's
difficult.
actually left the pit, so it'll be very interesting. Let's just hope that there is, the car isn't damaged any more than just the bits of bodywork.